Welcome to the Six M's of Manufacturing podcast. I'm your host, Adrienne Temple. And today we're doing something a little bit different. We're celebrating Manufacturing Month 2024 with a very special episode featuring you, our listeners. So let's talk about Manufacturing Month and what that really is. It's all about recognizing the impact and importance the manufacturing industry has on its community and the economy. And today we're diving into personal stories from our listeners on how they got started in manufacturing and what they love most about being a part of this amazing industry. So let's kick off this very special episode by hearing how some of our listeners got their start in manufacturing. Whether it was a family business, career change, or just pure curiosity, these stories remind us that there are so many unique paths into this industry. Travis, thank you for joining me. One thing I want to talk about first is Strategic Initiatives Manager at eVAC Magnetics. Tell us about what you do.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me today. So eVAC Magnetics is a organization and a plant that's brand new here to Sumter and brand new to North America. We actually will be making magnets that go into electrical vehicles. And we are the first producer in North America because 93% of these are all made in China. And our headquarters in Hanau was the first in the Western world to be making these at scale. And we're just bringing this onshoring back to America, which is awesome. And so my role as the Strategic Initiatives Manager of this is I get to do a little bit of everything. And it's an awesome job because what I get to do is I get to interact with our government relations. So anything both from federal or more importantly, our state and local Sumter County government officials, as well as business to business introductions and kind of building the relationships throughout the community across way, as well as I do strategic communication, community engagement, as well as a little bit of staff alignment. And so when we look at large, long-term strategic calendars, vision and mission, I get to help the staff kind of align what that means. So really it's a opportunity to do a little bit of everything, very broad, and have kind of my fingers on the pulse of the entire community and the company.
That really is awesome to be able to contribute in that way, and especially it being something completely new to the state, to the country. That's really amazing as well. So it's awesome that you get to see this kind of develop and build those relationships early. So when is the plant gonna start up, or what's the date you guys are targeting?
And this will make South Carolina so cool because the company itself just announced that they were coming for the largest economic development investment in Sumter County in history, was made in December. Purchased land in January, broke ground in February, March, and then we just did our steel topping, and full production will be already producing in December of next year, fourth quarter of next year. We have already hired locally. We've hired about 40 to 50 individuals because the hiring is kind of on stage pieces. So by the time this airs, we'll probably be around that 45-ish. Total employees locally, and then we'll be ramping all the way up to 300 by the end of next year.
Wow.
Really exciting time.
Absolutely. That's very exciting for Sumter County as well. So I know they're very excited to have you guys land there. Share a little bit with the listeners about how you got your start in manufacturing.
Thank you. It's been a very interesting road. So I actually started out serving our United States Air Force for 26 years. So I was a pilot by trade, and then lots of obviously leadership and command jobs as I went through those 26 years. As I went to my own retirement, I was looking back on what I wanted to do. And I kind of set a few priorities for myself. First was I wanted stability for my family. Over those 26 years, we had moved 19 times. And obviously the military life is quite demanding. And so I not only wanted stability for them, but I wanted to be present for my family. So that was obviously priority number one. I also wanted to continue my own professional development. I wanted to kind of see how I could continue to grow out of something outside of just the defense sector. I wanted to then also contribute to something I really felt passionate about, a mission that was worthwhile. And that brought me into a lot of the green energy items that are happening around South Carolina and the manufacturing efforts. And then finally, I really wanted to take that 26 years of leadership of different teams, processes, programs all around, and pour into my community and continue to serve. And so what that did is I started interacting because Sumter, I like to call us a smallish community. And as a small-ish community, the hiring doesn't happen necessarily on LinkedIn. What happens through relationships, as it does in all business. So I got involved with the community Greater Sumter Chamber of Commerce and our Sumter Economic Development team, and just started helping out, cold calling, meeting people, talking about what manufacturing was happening, because so many great initiatives happening around here. And lo and behold, the timing worked out great that eVAC had just made their announcement in December, and they said, Travis, I think you need to go talk to them. eVAC, I think you need to go talk to Travis. And it has kind of all worked out.
That's amazing. First of all, thank you for your service.
Thank you for
I have to say that for sure. That's amazing. I mean, I'm really interested just kind of making that connection. What skills specifically, you mentioned leadership. I mean, what kind of skills did you find best translated from that previous experience in the military to moving into manufacturing? I'm sure there's gotten to be some things that run in parallel. So what did you find to be a natural fit in manufacturing based on your previous experience?
AJ, I love that you ask it that way, because, and this will be hard to translate over radio, but I'll talk about it here. Is once again, South Carolina is quite possibly the military friendliest state we have. We just last year made it so that a military retirement pay is no longer taxed. Individuals' military retirement is not taxed on their federal income or their state income tax, which makes it wonderful, obviously. With that, we have such a community that is supportive of our military and our veterans, that what I like to say is that, nowhere else do people appreciate a veteran service more. At the same time, our community does not appreciate our veteran service. Now, I'll say that something in cheek, because what I'll say it now verbally, is that they appreciate our service with their full heart. But if you've not been deeply involved in the defense sector and military veterans, you don't appreciate what the veterans go, and that's through your head. You don't really truly understand what that transition brings. And what I mean by that is, yes, there is the leadership, there's the following orders, there's being able to do those things. Those are very cliche-ish. But the complex problem solving that our veterans have to do on a daily basis, and does that not fit? Do you want someone that shows up, knows how to follow what they're supposed to do, knows how to see an end state, and be able to overcome obstacles along the way? It's that complex thinking in this, how to both bring together people in a team and attack tough problems. That is manufacturing in a nutshell. And so what I found is, through talking to my fellow veterans, is a lot of them, the transition out of military service, where you've been in for 3-4 years or 26 years or 30 years, is very difficult. And through that is when people start running into those roadblocks of others not understanding what they bring to the manufacturing world. A lot of times they throw up their hands and just go back to something they know, which is either move back home, which is unfortunately for us outside of South Carolina too often, or they just go off and find something, kind of hit the easy button and find another way through. We want to show them that, hey, there is a lot that you can contribute throughout many roles in manufacturing, and South Carolina is the place for you.
Yeah, I agree that, critical thinking skills and problem solving are two things that come up a lot when you talk about, desirable qualities of an employee in manufacturing. And obviously, people that are coming out of the military service really are required to use those types of skills all of the time. So thinking on your feet, making good judgment, being strategic in your thinking, those are all high value skills. So I very much agree. Manufacturing is all about problem solving and trying to see what's around the next bend, right? And react to it, in advance.
Absolutely. And it's also about bringing teams together. In the military, you don't get to choose who you serve with.
True.
You're right and left, you don't know. And when you join, it's no different on the outside. When you join a company, you don't get to pick who you're with all the time. And so it's how you can bring across that diversity of that entirety group, and how you can make the best outcome with what you have and who you have with you, and how you can have everybody contribute to the overall success. And so those are skills that are by far, companies pay millions of dollars to try to get their employees up to that level, with a lot of veterans that know how to do that just intrinsically. And often our veterans can't sell themselves well enough because they're not used to selling themselves. And so they don't understand what greatness they bring. And they actually too often sell themselves short for what they can do for all of us.
Yeah, that's truly an untapped resource pool of talent. So for anybody that's out there looking to hire, don't overlook your veterans. We have lots of different military installments here in the States. So don't overlook those opportunities for those folks that are leaving the military and looking for permanent employment. So I agree with that, and I appreciate you sharing that, Travis. The last thing I want to ask you, it's a big question, and you've been in manufacturing for how long right now?
So I'm now about a year. So it's early on in my manufacturing in the true sense of the word, manufacturing. Yeah.
Okay. So from your perspective, just in this year's time that you've been involved and you're involved in such a huge project, it's really an amazing way to kind of make a big splash in manufacturing. But what do you find that you enjoy most or find most fulfilling about being in manufacturing and contributing to that effort in industry?
I love two aspects of it. And first and foremost is the people. It's the people. It's the people you get to work along with. And because it comes from all scopes of society. And you get to work along some of the greatest people to solve really complex problems. And that brings number two, which is there is no real status quo in manufacturing. If you're in status quo in manufacturing, that means you're probably falling behind. And it's always developing. That's what makes it exciting about here in South Carolina, about just the momentum we have on all these great new projects. But even if you're at companies that have been long-standing, as I talk to other companies that are not, bringing onshoring technology to the U.S., they're not static by far. Everyone's looking for what's coming next. How can we improve that continuous improvement? How can we as a team move forward together? And to me, that's what ties it so well to my military service in my own mind, because you get to see the goodness that keeps going and keeps developing and everyone forward focused. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah, it's really energizing work, right?
It absolutely is.
That's awesome. Well, I will ask you if you have anything or any advice that you would give. I mean, obviously listeners can be, folks who maybe are looking to transition in their career, or perhaps they're just emerging into the workforce. I mean, any piece of advice that you would offer given your previous experience, then obviously being in manufacturing now, anything you'd like to share with any listeners out there?
Absolutely. Get uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable. Get out there, get yourself in the ring. And that comes in twofold. Once, and it comes not just from a military transition, any job transition where you want to elevate yourself. Educate yourself, get out, find what you don't know, and then go find out how you can know it. And then two, put yourself out there. You may not think that you're the best for that position, but make somebody else prove you otherwise and show them what you can do. And in those two roles, get yourself uncomfortable and educate, you can achieve anything you want.
That's awesome advice. I really like that. Thank you for sharing that, Travis.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being on this episode with me. I'm so glad that you reached out and were willing to share your story. And I think a lot of people will get a lot of value out of that. And definitely bringing up the veterans' perspective as well, I think is highly valuable, because there's tons of programs in the state that are trying to put more veterans into the workforce and manufacturing rather than them leaving the state. So great way to put a spotlight on that opportunity as well. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thanks to SCMEP for giving us all this opportunity and for pushing us forward in manufacturing. I appreciate you.
You're very welcome. Wayne, thank you so much for joining me today. And you are the plant manager at Amamco Tool and Supply, right?
That is correct.
So talk a little bit about what it means to be a plant manager. What does a plant manager do for those people that maybe are less familiar with manufacturing and that type of role?
Well, here, I would assume it's kind of different in different places, but what we do here is we manufacture carbide cutting tools, mainly for the aerospace industry. My job is I'm pretty much over the full shop. Anything in production is under my control, and I work closely with the president of the company, and we make decisions on machines and just the direction that the company is going to go in. But I manage the supervisors and the maintenance team and the shipping department and the inspection department, and just try to keep things going in generally in a good direction. Try to find the most efficient way to do things. And basically that's kind of what I do.
That's a lot of responsibility, right?
It is a good bit.
Well, talk a little bit about, being a plant manager. I mean, how did you get started in manufacturing in the first place? Kind of when did you get started and what drove you to the manufacturing industry?
Well, right out of high school, I actually was working with a family in a family business, and that didn't always work out. And we we got into an argument one day, and one thing led to another, and I actually went home and had no idea what I was going to do outside of that, because that's what I had been doing for several years just during the summer. So I opened the phone book up, and the first thing I put my finger on was a Amamco tool. So I give them a call to see if they was hired. They said, sure, come fill out the application. Basically got hired on the spot. Had no idea what I was doing the first day I showed up. Didn't know anything about any kind of manufacturing. But, I jumped in and started working. I was enjoying what I was doing, and left a couple years later to go work with another family member. And again, it didn't work out. So when I came back to Amamco, I just put my mind to it that I was going to go as high as I could. It was the plant manager at the time. I just kind of made him my mentor, and you know, we were great friends and still are to this day. But I just set my mind to it that I was going to get his job one day. And when the time came, it rolled around. He was retiring. Himself and the president of the company and others decided that I was the person for the job, and that was a couple years ago, and here we are.
Well, how many years of service total do you have with Amamco?
26 years total.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We have a lot of folks here that's just put in a lot of time. It's been a great place to work.
I'm glad that you bring that up because I think, there's sort of a perception that a lot of people move around and are only at companies for short periods of time, but there's lots of people that establish a career there and, like you said, have a path for growth. And that's not something to overlook or dismiss. There are still a lot of people that are really committed, enjoy the organization that they're in, and they see opportunities to move up just like you did. So, there are lots of people that are still doing that. Not everybody's leaving after a few years at the company and going to the next opportunity, right?
That's right. That's right. We have, we have some young guys here, and we're trying to lead them in the direction of staying, stay the course, hang in here. I know things is tough at times, but if you hang in there with it, and especially I would guess in any manufacturing environment, if you hang in there long enough, you can earn a good living and make a good wage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's always opportunity, and you got a mentor, and that's a really great best practice for anybody whenever they're getting started is try and find a mentor, somebody that can help you and give you guidance as well on how you can grow and how you can get better and help you to see the opportunities and sort of give your career some direction. So I think it's great that, you made that commitment to yourself that you were going to get a mentor and work that direction. And obviously it's been fruitful for you, right? You've been the plant manager for a few years now. So that's really outstanding.
Yep. Well, thank you. Yep. It's paid off.
It certainly has. So whenever you look at, being in manufacturing, obviously you enjoy being in Amamco because you've put in a lot of years there. I mean, just in general though, what is it about manufacturing and being a part of the manufacturing industry that maybe you find most fulfilling or that you really enjoy?
The math of it in my particular situation, it's just a different math that goes into the geometries to get certain end result. And I've always been extremely intrigued with math, and I've got a chance in the manufacturing world to be able to use some of that I learned in high school. You go to school and it's you'll never use that stuff again. When are you going to need trigonometry? Well, it showed up. In the HVAC world, there was none of that there. You read a tape measure or whatever, and you're good. But when I got into manufacturing, it was, oh wow, there's a lot I can use that stuff I learned in school. So that was, that's one of the things. And the other another one is when you start something in manufacturing, you've got a raw piece of raw material, and by the time it's done, you've got something that's either, what we do is make drill bits or other kinds of cutting tools. But in other areas, you start with a block of steel, and you got a piece when you get done. It's going on a car, airplane, or a rocket, or a spaceship or whatever. And so that's, you just see the finished product, and it's going to be used for something that somebody out, in the world needs it, and maybe even you may need it yourself. So, it's just fulfilling to be able to start with raw material and come up with finished goods when you're done.
Yeah. Well, being servicing the aerospace industry too. I mean, that's no small task, right? That's a very significant and important industry to a lot of people. So, I mean, even contributing to that, that's making that connection, I guess, between,
Yep.
What you're doing every day, the day to day, to actually that end product and how you contribute to another industry and things that people leverage, whether it's for business or pleasure or whatever the case may be. That's very true. Making that connection to it can give it a lot more value to the person that's doing the work, right?
That's right. And another thing too is just the relationships that I've made over my career here. You meet so many different people in manufacturing. I think a lot of us at times we get a, I guess, a stereotype of being blue collar workers is just rough and rugged and all that, but it's not really that way. There's all kinds of people in manufacturing from all walks of life, different cultures. And I've enjoyed that over the years too, just meeting the different kind of people, whether it be my coworkers or vendors or whoever out else in the industry. We're all part of this big machine.
Yeah, I like that. I like the way that you put that. It's very true. The people side of it is so rewarding in a lot of ways. Like you said, connections and getting to know people. And even for me, myself, there are still people that work at the last plant that I was at years ago, and I still see them, and it's like, it's like nothing has changed. You pick up right where you left off. I mean, there's just shared experiences there that will always be a part of kind of your history together. And it's always nice to have those connections with people. And that's not something that you can always have with everyone. So that's really a unique aspect of being in manufacturing for sure.
Right. Right.
Well, let me ask you one last thing. I'd be interested to hear, for those listeners out there that may either be considering a job in manufacturing, maybe they're just getting out of school, or it might be, some listeners that are looking to transition out of another business segment perhaps, and they're looking at their options. I mean, what kind of advice would you offer to those listeners out there that maybe are still exploring or feeling their way through the possibility of manufacturing? Any words of wisdom you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, if you're out there and you're looking for a new job and you're looking to go into manufacturing, try to find one that, in the end result of what you're going to be doing is something that you're interested in. I mean, where I'm at is with aerospace and, airplanes and that kind of thing in space has always been something that I've enjoyed. And now I get to be a part of that. I get to see what my product that I'm making is. I can see what it's doing in the aerospace industry or in whatever industry you choose to be in. But just look for one that something in the end it brings value it has value to you, and go for it. I mean, put your head down, keep your head down, and just put everything you have into it. And in the end, it's very rewarding to be able to do something like that.
I appreciate that, Wayne. I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's so important to give perspective to those folks that maybe have never been exposed to manufacturing and maybe you're a little unsure, but like you said, if it's something you can connect with on a personal level and you value or enjoy, I'm sure that brings a whole nother element to the job.
For sure. For sure.
Well, Wayne, I just want to thank you for being a part of our podcast this month. I'm glad that you are willing to share your story with all of our listeners. Thank you for everything that you do at Amamco, and I really appreciate your time today.
Right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you to Travis and Wayne who shared their stories today. From getting started to what keeps you excited, it's clear that manufacturing is full of diverse and passionate people who make an impact every day. Hearing these stories reminds me of why I'm so committed to supporting the manufacturing industry and why I enjoy working at SCMEP so much. It's not just about the products being made, but the people who make it happen. If you have a story to share, we'd love to hear it. Send your submission through our contact form in the episode notes, and we might feature you in a future episode. And don't forget to celebrate Manufacturing Month by sharing these stories within your own community. Thanks for tuning in to this special episode of the 6 M's of Manufacturing podcast. And remember, don't just make it better.